Hey guys, it's Joel. I haven't done a video log in the past 3 weeks, so this is going to cover a lot of stuff, so sit down and hold on tight, because it's going to be a long ride. Although, to make things easier, I'm probably going to try to put in some music in the background. If I succeed, I'll put like the artists and names of the songs in the credits that way. Hopefully I don't mess up copyright crap. But anyway, let's get started. A player named Alpha Wolf 7, we just call him Alpha, has managed to start becoming active again. So I'm going to give you a quick just lowdown on who he is. Um, he lived in a land called Iyis. It's spelled Iyyys, so yeah, you're going to have to bear with me. He spelled the names of the stuff in his origin story so messed up that I seriously wish I could throw something through my laptop and just beat the crap out of him with it. Because it is just so awful. But anyway, so basically in East, there are two kinds of creatures. Broven, which are basically a mix of golem, human, and wolf. And then, ugh, we're just gonna call him Snagglet. Yeah. It's spelled Snkraglt. That is a pain in the butt to try to say. So we're going to go with Snaggled. So the Snaggled are basically, they're the exact same powers of the Broven, except they look human. And so the Broven being racist and having more numbers, yeah, they're racist, they pretty much banish him. And after they banish him, a bunch of snake demons called Snakeoth attack and destroy everything. So Alpha's overall goal, is to rebuild East. I just noticed Broven is so easy to say. Brove and Broven, so obvious. And there's like Snaggle. I mean, Snaggled. It's just like, what the crap is this? At least be consistent. Don't give me something easy like Broven and then just like fill the rest of it with crap. But, ugh, sorry. Anyway, so he starts his journey. He gets his buddy Bloodtooth, which is a lightning wolf dragon, and he meets Jewel and chooses to become Jewel's apprentice. During this time, he journeys to Isatrak with Jewel and because of an assassination attempt, and he's fought Jonah, the crown prince of Isatrak, and he's fought Cecil and guarding Cecil, who's a prince of Isatrak, is Rizal. And Rizal is actually a Broven. So running into Rizal was kind of like a holy crap, there's a surviving Broven. But so he came back with Sarah, an NPC, after they stole the Dominion Stone from Cecil, and came back to Syria, where later DGR occurred. Dark God Rising came very soon after that, where the Dominion Stone was stolen and later destroyed during the fight with Xyzus. But anyway, so during this time, his relationship grows with Sarah, and his character and hers become boyfriend and girlfriend. They're in a relationship. Goody for him. Anyway, so after DGR, he kind of lays low for a while, but he makes the mistake of going to see Jewel when Jewel starts fighting Nintendo over Never. And so when he gets to Jewel had just lost Never and Nintendo had just left. So Jewel is scarred, angry, ready to lash out at anybody. So here comes Alpha, and he basically chews him out and just basically insults him so much that Alpha goes into kind of a self-imposed exile. And when he comes out of it, his he's always been a big light magic user, but now is like unbelievable his skill with light magic. It's at mastery level. He can do like unthinkable things with light magic. And but along the way, he's lost pretty much all his items and weapons except for two swords that have powers that have yet to be described. And he lost his ability to generate his soul weapon, which was a battle axe called Retribution. He lost the ability to call his soul weapon, which is it hasn't happened before, so it's kind of interesting. But anyway, he decided he wanted to try to start rebuilding East, kill the snake off. So he goes to East and finds just ruins. Like, it looks like the snake off just destroyed everything, which is weird because usually they just kill the people and go. So he like starts fishing around trying to find anything about his past, like the history of his people, but instead he finds a boat. And upon further inspection of the boat with the help of the helpful fairy Navi from Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, yeah, he was not getting it, and I actually had to have Navi come in and say hey incessantly until he finally noticed the button on the floor of the boat. Wasn't that hard to find. But anyway, boat goes through the ceiling and actually goes out into the atmosphere. Thankfully, it had like a little air dome on it. But it goes and docks with this huge ship, which is actually filled with Broven. And so Alpha right now is talking with the Brovens, who are still racist and are basically just calling him filth all the time. Like, no matter how strong he is, they're just like, you're filth. We don't care about who you are. You're an insult to your family. And so he's basically just trying to learn about his past while trying to force through this racism of the Brovens. Next up is Jello. Yeah. Jello actually has the most interesting story. Alpha only came first because he has the whole background thing. Jello trains with Psyche and Inazukami and chooses to become a werewolf via blood transfusion from Inazukami. Kind of weird, but hey, he's a werewolf now. Good for him. And so Inazukami starts looking for the Dominion shards, and so Jello wants to help, and he starts looking around, and he runs into knorowat. And so he starts talking to knorowat, and then notices knorowat has a Dominion shard. And so, um, when he asks knorowat to give it to him, knorowat tells him that basically rips out Hitomi's third eye and is like, "Fine, eat the eye." And so Jello's like revolted by it, but he eats it. And so there's some messed up stuff there. But then he says, "Fine, now give me the shard." Knorowat denies him and says, and by now Inazukami has actually showed up because, Demon and the person he's kind of considered his apprentice by now, um, it's just not a good situation. So he's just kind of standing back. And so Norwat says, "Fine, to get the shard, you gotta kill Inazukami and eat his soul." And Jello's just like, "No, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do that. I refuse." And he turns around and leaves. And that just pisses Norwat off. So Norwat throws a halberd just straight through Jello. And it would have killed Jello instantly had it not been for Inazukami, who quickly set to work on healing him. But the best Inazukami could do was basically to keep Jello's soul from leaving was put him into a coma. So he was trapped inside his own mind. Inside his own mind, he meets Sir X, this strange man who seems to know a lot about him, but he's inside his mind, so it's kind of strange. But in the meantime, there's like all these explosions, and all of a sudden, this like crazy dragon monster thing busts into the area he's in his mind, and so he's like, "Holy crap! Why is there a dragon thing in my mind?" And then he told me he's like buff all of a sudden, like, "What the crap, man? You've been working out?" He just like he like tears out the dragon's throat, and it's like, "It is time for you to wake up." And all of a sudden, Jello wakes up, and he's in a room, and this guy who's like dressed all in white is like checking his charts and stuff. He asks what's going on, and the guy who is just called White, um, leads him to a control room, and he discovers he's been in a coma for 10 years, and and at the beginning of those 10 years, Norwalk gathered all the shards of the Dominion Stone, put them back together into the Dominion Stone, and used its power to lay waste to the entire world and kill everyone. Jewel is killed. Nintendo is put into a stasis because Never would backlash if Nintendo were to die, so he's just stuck in stasis. Inazukami is dead. Psyche is missing. So much stuff has just gone so horribly wrong. And so Jello's like, "Holy crap, I gotta fix this." So he and White set out to try to go to a time machine, because rumor has it Norwat actually has one. Reason, no, he didn't stick around long enough to find out. But on his way, he chooses to stop and pay respects, mainly just kind of because White seemed to encourage it. So he goes to the tomb of Jewel, and a little lightning bolt is sitting in there. And when Jewel died, the magic of high voltage just basically went into mourning. Like the magic of lightning will respond to no one. Like no matter how hard you try, it's just not working. It refuses to work for you because using magic actually does require some of a magica's consent. But usually it's just subconscious to the magica, and it doesn't actually it can't consciously usually tell you no, you can't use it. But with voltage and mourning, its subconscious is just shut down any use of its power. Just no, not happening. So Jello ends up kind of like reaching out to the lightning bolt, and it burns and like puts a mark on him. And this mark looks similar to the Syrian royal crest. So for a little bit, Jello thinks he's royalty. Ha 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 ha. But anyway, so Jello goes, and he also gets Inazukami's armor, Inazukami's rune armor, called Warrior's Pride. It's kind of like Inazukami must have thought ahead and hid it because he finds it. And so with himself all set to go, he and White sneak in to the main compound very sneakily. But they sneak in and they're actually doing pretty good, and they make it to the time machine. I mean, they are like super sneaky. But as the time machine fires up, knorowat comes in, and White suddenly generates two arm blades and starts fighting. And so and tells Jello to go through the time portal. So as Jello's going through the portal, he seems to realize it, and then White confirms it about a little half second later. Turns out White is actually Psyche. Um, and so Psyche gets him through the portal, but right before Jello is fully through the portal, knorowat kills Psyche. So he actually sees Psyche just get killed. So back in time, Jello decides he needs to stop knorowat before knorowat gains the power of the Dominion Stone, because once that happens, Jewel and Inazukami in the normal time go to stop him, but it's too late because he has the stone and he kills both of them. So Jello decides to just get Inazukami and Jewel and fight knorowat before he can gather the shards. And that's basic. And so they go, and they are now engaging knorowat in a sort of like the climactic battle of this section of the story.